Welcome back to Rugby Manual, your best source of rugby breakdowns. Today, we're going to have a look at the players who might have been perfect for the UFC. When you think of rugby, you'll think of bone-crunching hits, lightning-quick pace, and sports people with hearts of lions. Well, we certainly know that rugby players can be handy in a fight. Their physicality, brutality, pure strength, and let's be honest, completely animalistic aggression might make them handy in an octagon. Here's 5 examples of players who might well have been able to make the transition. Be sure to follow us and click that subscription button down below. First up, Jonah Lomu, Rugby Union's first global superstar and arguably the greatest player ever to grace the game. His giant frame, 6'5" and close to 19 stone in his prime, allied with the pace of a sprinter who'd beaten 11 seconds in the 100 metres, made him a formidable force as left wing for New Zealand. He was famous for bullocking his way not just past, but over and through defenders on his way to the line. The England captain Will Carling once said ruefully, "He's a freak, and the sooner he goes away, the better." Jonah Lomu was like nothing sport had ever seen before and changed so much of what came after. A real-time superhero, a super-sized black-shirted blur, an indestructible force of nature. He was 20 when he arrived at the 1995 World Cup, the youngest ever All Black the year before, but with only 2 caps behind him and a lot of doubt that he was ready for the big boys. The big boys, it turned out, were the ones who weren't ready. In the space of 1 month in South Africa, Lomu reduced the finest players on the planet to skittles and speed bumps. How to stop him? If he had the ball, no one could. Show him outside and he would show you his heels. Go low and he went over you. Go high and he went over you slightly higher. Sounds perfect for the cage, eh? Now, Bakkies Botha might well be one of the hardest men rugby has ever seen. Known as one of the best enforcers of all time, Botha was a key figure in the Springboks' many years of success. His robust and confrontational style of play resulted in countless controversial incidents that included not only yellow and red cards, but also being banned from international games. 9 weeks he got for this headbutt.
Holds him back too, and gets back and recovers nicely.
He gives South Africa line-out throws, the one to gain possession. Ooh. Well, he was held back, was Bakkies Botha, but boy, that is not a good look.
Even that's a stretch for the UFC, isn't it? This box stalwart, though, was infamous for his physicality, notoriously short temper, and known the world over as the Springboks' big man. Botha was an expert in the dark arts of the rucks and mauls and thrived doing the nitty-gritty and donkey work for his side. He also never backed down from a melee, big or small, nor did he turn down the opportunity to exchange a few choice words or a punch or two. Perhaps the man himself describes his approach to the game best. "I like the physical and brutal side of the game. I love it," he said. "The more stitches and broken bones, the more I liked it." By all accounts, Bakkies Botha was a consummate professional and gentle giant off the field. He was also a decorated player on it, showing he wasn't merely a brawler, but highly skilled. There may never be another one quite like him. Bakkies Botha retired from all rugby in 2015 and established a butcher business, which seems quite appropriate, doesn't it? He's also involved in farming. You can imagine that as his UFC nickname, couldn't you? The Butcher. Bonjour. Now, Sebastian Chabal became one of the game's great cult heroes. His facial hair became iconic, the trademark of a Neanderthal-like figure who struck fear into rugby players and journalists alike. There weren't many rugby players who appreciated the hard-hitting tackling that Chabal soon became known for. On the pitch, deployed across the back row, he was a player of gargantuan size and formidable strength who could easily be used as a human battering ram, even if he was also capable of refined forward play and serving a rather more cultured role on some occasions. Despite his huge frame, which is 6'3" and weighing quite a bit too, he was often spotted driving around Manchester when he played for Sale in a tiny smart car. And to be fair, Chabal was always a strange blend of rugged savagery and understated sophistication, the sort of grizzled forward who you could also imagine owning a vineyard in some sultry southern département of France. Those grapes would get squashed pretty quickly. You could just look at them, couldn't he? He might not have been the greatest player of his generation, but he was the only one who could look like a savage, tackle like a beast, and come across as a gruff sophisticate all the while. Eben Etzebeth is known as one of the biggest enforcers in world rugby. A double World Cup winner, 6'7" and 123 kilograms, a man who never backs down, a South Africa legend and one of the world's greatest ever locks. For a number 4 enforcer to miss only a handful of tackles a year, and most of them are R-rated or worse, is an unbelievable benefit to anyone who plays with him, and would mean you'd better be on your guard if you were in the cage with him. He has the brawn, he can bench press over 135 kilograms and do chest presses with 60 kilogram weights, but he's also been clocked over 40 metres at 5 seconds, so not too slow either. But there's another side to Etzebeth, one which makes him truly feared. He is a pure enforcer. The Etzebeths were legitimately the hard men of their hometown near Cape Town. His uncle won an amateur wrestling title at 62. They weren't to be messed with in the bars of South Africa. His father was a policeman, so lawful or lawless, and Etzebeth does not back down. Perfect for the UFC. He's become a Springbok legend, 3rd on the all-time list of caps, and has captained his country several times. He won the World Cup in 2019 and 2023, playing in both finals, and has a stellar club career in France, South Africa and Japan. He is one of rugby's true enforcers. They don't come much bigger or better and more consistent than Eben Etzebeth. To some, he was simply the hardest man in the game, the hitman with a pint of Guinness hairdo. To others, New Zealand flanker Jerry Collins was much more than that, a big man with an even bigger heart. Even in this most physical of sports, Collins, the hard man enforcer of the back row for the All Blacks for so long, stood out as a purveyor of especially shuddering tackles, often emerging from a pile of bodies with a smile on his face. Opponents found that stopping the man known as the Terminator in full flow on the rugby field was not so amusing. For much of his career, the 6'3", 17-stone Collins boasted the biggest biceps in the All Blacks squad, even reaching the stage where, at 52 centimetres in circumference, it was felt they were starting to interfere with his ability to tackle people properly. That's a pretty handy flip, don't you think? Pretty sure that's illegal, Jerry, even in the UFC. Wales great Shane Williams once said that he was the most physical guy he ever played with, and when you were playing against him you really kept your eye on him because some of the tackles he produced were incredible. Now, Jerry sadly died in a car accident in 2016, but not after captaining his side and playing 48 matches for New Zealand. He will be forever remembered as one of the game's absolute brutes. So there you have it, some of the most aggressive and best fighters this game has ever produced. The UFC have missed a trick, haven't they? To be fair, I wouldn't even back the boys and girls who've been... To be fair, I'm not even sure those boys and girls in the octagon could put up with some of this.